Hello art friends, and hello April. My name is Fleshwad and welcome back to my channel. I accidentally took a little bit of a hiatus. Sometimes life just gets in the way. But I'm back and I hopefully will be able to stick to my new schedule, posting weekly videos for you on Mondays and Fridays. Before the video starts, I'd like to give a tiny announcement. If you saw my 2021 art goals video, then you'll know that making a pin was on that list, and I'm excited to share with you all that I have finally done it. Right now the pin is on pre-order, which means I'm trying to gather enough funds to order the pins. I'll be starting production on Friday, so if you'd like to help me out and support my art, please visit my shop and consider purchasing the pre-order pin. All this means is that the pin has not gone into production yet, so you'd be ordering it before they start making it, which just helps me out a ton. But I understand if you want to wait until I get the pin, that's also no biggie. Just please visit the shop and check it out, please. Follow me on Twitter if you haven't for updates, and I'll also update you through my YouTube videos and Instagram. Thank you. Now on to the video. I drew up this art for April Fools, but had some unfortunate events happen and this video was postponed until now. Please enjoy this story and art, both created by myself. I have heard stories of the night I was born. Doctors and nurses fainting. Screams echoing throughout the hospital. I used to make Mom tell me those stories every night before bed. I just found them interesting. Mom always told me how there was evil in the world. People who would do anything to get their hands on me, hurt me, dissect me. She promised nothing bad would ever happen to me. But that was before they got to her. Now it's just me. But I try not to let that get me down. I stick to shadows and never let my face be seen directly by anyone. I'm honestly not quite sure what I am or where I came from. Mom died before I could ask. Only a few have seen my face, but I had to kill them afterwards, obviously. I couldn't let word get out and risk those masks finding me. It was shortly after that I learned I couldn't trust anyone. But that's another story for another time. This story is about a boy named Vince. Our story starts 1 week ago. I never stick to one place long. This week it was an abandoned hotel. A real building of beauty. The girl who stayed in the room before me was very fashionable. I found lots of tattered and old clothes. Beautiful materials, really, a shame they were forgotten. I dug through the old chests and found a couple of choice clothing pieces. Suddenly, I heard a thump in the room over. Now, being who I am, or more so, what I am no stranger to bumps in the night. I grabbed my handy-dandy bat, for self-defense of course, and headed into the hallway. The hotel was dark. No lighting anywhere since it had been deserted for a couple of years by now. The halls were covered in dust, and if you picked up any object, you would see the clean imprint of it underneath. For a split second, my mind ran to my darkest fear. Masks. What if they had found me? How many might there be? I thought this only for a split second, and quickly hushed those thoughts. I couldn't think like that now. I had to think of how to get out of here without being detected. But what if it wasn't masks? I have to admit, all of these years on the run or in hiding has been awfully lonely. What if this could be a friend? My curiosity got the best of me, and I ventured into the open door. There, I caught sight of a boy around my age. I turned around quickly, but ended up bumping into the door. In combination with rusty screws, caused the door to collapse.
Who's there?
He shouted, turning in my direction. Now, before I go any further, I probably should explain the elephant in the room. The reason masks are after me, and the reason I must not let anyone see me. I wasn't born normal. My face, it's not human. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not sure what I am, but normal is far from it. It's a bit hard to explain since I've actually never seen it myself. This abnormality, it doesn't show up in mirrors. To be honest, when looking at my reflection, I look completely normal. Maybe a masking trick I just instinctively knew. But I can feel it. What's really there. I can see it out of the corners of my eye, feel it with my hands. My face, it splits into 4 sections. Teeth line the inside of my flesh. But that's not even the worst part. Little insect-like limbs protrude from my face, lined with thorns and a huge tooth at the end of every single one. I had never felt embarrassed or ashamed of my face until I heard this boy's voice. I felt my skin turn red hot as I tried to flee the room.
Wait a minute, please!
He yelled. I froze. As luck would have it, there was a mirror directly in front of where the room door had once stood. I could see the boy, and he could see me. He was beautiful. Medium-length brown hair, covering some of his eyes. His big brown eyes. Words escaped me. I had never seen someone so heavenly. And then realization of who I am and what it might mean to be seen came back. I hurried back to my room and slammed the door shut. It didn't take long for the brown-eyed boy to find me.
I'm not sure what you're doing here, ma'am.
He spoke through the door. And also, did he just call me ma'am? We're the same age.
But, you're very pretty. I'm sorry if I startled you. I was just exploring this place before they tear it down next week. I'd really like to chat. I'll leave my number on a paper and slip it under the door. Please call me.
He slipped a paper under the door. His phone number, followed by the name Vince. And then his light footsteps retreating from the door. I grabbed the paper and pulled it close to my chest. He thought I was pretty. I sighed. Vince. What a beautiful name. I must have stared at my cell phone for hours. All of me wanted to call him, but there was too much risk. What if they find me? What if I lead him to them? I couldn't have that on my conscience, but I was so tired of being alone. A call couldn't hurt anyone, right? I dialed his number and waited patiently on the other end. Okay, maybe I was freaking out just a little bit.
Hello?
He answered. Hi, I shouted back. It's me, from the hotel. April. My name is April.
Hello there, April.
He said. I could hear him smiling. We talked for what felt like hours. We had so much in common. Well, I mean, not exactly, but it was fun to imagine we did.
When can we meet again, April?
Vince asked me at the end of our call. I hesitated. I really wanted to meet him again, but I didn't want to put him or myself at risk. There's another thing I didn't mention yet. I can hold a human form for up to 30 minutes, but it doesn't always work. There are slight slits in my skin, which can be noticed if looking closely. Despite this, I decided I'd meet Vince once, I had to. Come tomorrow, same hotel, same room. I answered back, excitedly, and hung up. That night I slept happily. Dreams of a world where I could have someone, where I wouldn't have to be alone. The next day came quickly. I dressed myself in one of the old outfits I'd found the day before. I even attempted to put on lipstick. I was all dressed up and ready to go, but Vince never showed. I tried calling, but he didn't answer either. I grew worried. I should have never agreed to meet him. Such a stupid decision on my part. I was halfway done torturing myself when I got a text message from Vince.
Sorry, running behind. Can we meet here instead?
An address close by. I wondered why he wouldn't just meet here like planned. But I didn't want to ruin the chance of finally getting to see him again. Sure thing, I replied. I took to the shadows along the way there. It was dark enough that any passerby would not be able to make out the features of my face. I had arrived at the address, and I could see Vince in the distance. I waved, but either he didn't want to wave back or he simply hadn't noticed me yet. As I made my way closer, I began to shift my face and hide my true form. It was also as I drew closer that I noticed something wasn't right. Vince was looking at me. No, through me. Why wasn't he saying anything? It wasn't until I was about 10 feet away that I noticed. His skin was pale. His brown eyes white. He was dead, unable to hold the human form due to shock. I let my face slip back to normal. 1,000 thoughts ran through my mind at that moment. Suddenly, tens of masks appeared. They had me surrounded. No, I gasped. Vince, I cried. A young and innocent life cut short. Because of me, my body gave out, and I collapsed on the floor. This life, it wasn't living. It had never been living. I was ready to give up, let the masks capture me, when a van pulled up, and the passengers shot the masks around me. The van came to an abrupt stop in front of me, and the side door opened. I was met with a girl. Her face, it was like mine. She held her hand out, and I grabbed it, pulling me into the van. She closed the door and the van sped off. The end. For now. I hope you guys liked that story. Sorry to leave it open-ended. I do have more planned for this character, as I'd eventually like to develop a whole world around her, but this is all I have for now. If you're interested in hearing more of her story, please let me know in the comments below. Before we go, I'd like to give a huge shout out to a fellow author and friend, XSlumpGod over on Reddit. If his name sounds familiar, it's because I have read one of his stories in an older video. The story was titled Blind Date, and was featured in my 2 Scary First Date Horror Stories video. He actually just released his very first book and was kind enough to send me a copy. I've only gotten to read one story so far, but it definitely lives up to the title of the book, which is The Haunted Chronicles: Stories That Will Keep You Up at Night. Please consider checking out his book and his Reddit, since we both know you share a love for horror stories. I'll leave a link to his Reddit as well as the link to his book down below. Once again, sorry for the hiatus, and I'm definitely coming back with more videos in the future, so please stay tuned. Make sure to like the video if you like the art and the story, and subscribe if you haven't. Until the next video, bye.